Hello and welcome to this tutorial where we're going to talk to you a little bit about working with bleeds and die lines and templates. And when you're setting things up for printing, you have to take into account most of the time I see designers starting out, they can design very interesting, very beautiful things, and then they don't take into account what happens to this design after you've created it. Does it go up onto a website? Does it have to be sent to a printer? Those are very specific things that you have to understand. And so for printing, a lot of times when you're designing something, it's always best practices to work from a template and design on a template. So that way you design it accurately for that particular printing process. So right now what you see in front of you, templates can change. Most printers provide you templates. If you ask them or look on their websites, you can find them and download them. And they'll provide you templates for InDesign files, Photoshop files, Illustrator files. And what they're trying to do is set you up to succeed. And if you follow their directions on their templates, you can see exactly why they'd want to do that. They don't want the job to go wrong, and they don't want you to be upset or angry, and they don't want to cause headaches for themselves either. So if we follow those directions on their templates and design for that in mind, then we get better results. So let's start with just a new layer here, and we're going to show you a little bit of the terminology here. So we'll draw us a square, and we'll go ahead and fill it with something that we can see here. I guess we'll just fill it with yellow. Okay. All right, so what we have here is just, shape, and just kind of show you how this particular template works. A bleed is if I want a design to look like it stops at the very edge of the paper, which is the trim mark is the very edge of your paper. So if you hold a business card in your hand, the edges that touch your fingers of the edges of the business card is the trim area. That means it was printed on a bigger sheet of paper and then cut down to the size of a business card. If you had a color or a graphic or something like that, that looks like it stops at the edge of that business card, well, that means it was pulled about 1/8 of an inch, bare minimum, past the edge of the final design. So that's why when you're holding in your hand, it looks like it stops at the edge. It's because it was printed on a larger sheet of paper and then cut to the trim area. The live area is, you can still have colors and graphics and stuff that bleed off the edge of your paper, but the live area is where you want to keep all the important information. You want to keep things that you don't want them to be risked to be cut or getting too close to the edges of your paper. You usually follow the live area. So in this one, this is another template that was downloaded. This one is for a threefold or a trifold brochure for front and back designs. And you can see here in the layers, similar to the previous file, that when you download them from a website, from a printer, something like that, they've created the layers in your template for you already. They've put them on their own layers and locked them down so you don't mess up. And you can turn them off when you're done with your designs, and they'll turn them off certainly before they print them. But they'll sometimes put directions for you to follow. And as you can see here, like this is the front panel. This is the cover of your brochure. These lines right here indicate my folds, and you can see that the layer is even named the fold template. So if I don't want something to fold over onto the back, then I follow this template and I make sure that everything stays on this side of the line so it doesn't fold over onto the back, and vice versa. And it's giving you directions on how you turn your layers on and off. And we still have on our fold templates the inside. This is the inside of the page. And so that's pretty much, templates that follow them. So templates become, again, as we said, as a designer and as a smart designer, you want to design, if you know something's going to go to web, you're designing it specifically for that process. You're not saving it as CMYK or a very large DPI. And like we're seeing here on the screen, for print, we don't, if we know it's going to print on a folder or a label or a brochure or whatever, we can go to any kind of printer and find some templates that we can download so that when we're setting up our design, we know it stands a better chance of being successful when it's printed.